Hi, I'm Sandy Genovese, and I love the project that we're going to make today. In fact, I would call it stellar. And you'll see what I mean if you look at the table. We're going to create boxes in the shape of stars. And the thing that's cool about that is if you still need a holder for a Father's Day gift, this could be the way that you could really customize and make it your own. If you look here, this largest one is used. I'm going to turn it so that you can see when I open it up. I actually have a tie in this one. So this would be great for anything that size that would fit into this star box. This is the one that we're going to make today, and this we're going to actually use to hold a watch. I'll turn it so you can see I've added a tag to this one, and here is where it opens up. If you happen to have something smaller, like maybe a money clip or, something easy, candy even could fit wonderfully in this little smaller box. So I'm going to move these a little bit out of the way, but reference that there are 3 different sizes. Now I'm going to give you the pattern, and when you download the pattern, it will be a size that will fit on 8.5 by 11 paper, since most printers at home, that's probably what you have. But if you want to enlarge it, you can make the other size boxes in all different sizes just by having it photocopied on 11/17 paper. Now what I did for the paper it's going to sit on, the paper itself, for this smallest box, I used 8.5 by 11 scrapbook paper. You can put the thinner scrapbook paper right in your copy machine and just place it so that the pattern will print on the back side, and all you're going to need to do is cut around and fold. That could not be easier. For this size that we're going to make today, what I used was 12 by 12 scrapbook paper in order to create the one we're going to make today. You can see here that I've got my pattern on this paper, and this larger one that I was using to hold the tie, I used my 11/17 pattern with just a standard sheet of construction paper. This one's orange, but I use yellow in order to make that size box. So once you have your pattern printed out, you're going to place it. So here are the 3 sizes. Here is the size of the pattern that we're going to use. And as I said, you can just enlarge it, but if you want to really learn how to make this and do it yourself, the teacher in me feels compelled to show you it is not complicated. What you need to do, I'll turn this over so you can see, you're going to want to start with a pentagon. So you just need a pentagon, a 5-sided shape, and if you look, you can see that it's attached to another. If I flip it over, you can tell a little bit better. It's attached to another pentagon. The only thing is you want these 1/2-inch flaps on one of the pentagons. So one of them is just a regular pentagon. The other one is a pentagon, but you're going to continue the lines for a 1/2 inch in order to create the flaps. And for the flap that's actually the one you're going to open and close, I think it's easiest if you leave that even longer. So this is 1 inch. For where to put your lines, your pencil lines, you take the tip of any of the sides of the pentagon, and with a pencil and a ruler, you just are going to draw the lines that go down to the 2 points opposite. And you work your way around doing that on all the sides, which will give you the star shape that fits. Since a star is a 5-sided object, it's going to fit perfectly in the pentagon, which has 5 equal sides. In order to get these last fold lines, all you need to do is take your ruler and lay it down on one of the points, and where this point will, when your ruler hits this point and the intersection of these 2 legs of the star, that's going to give you the line for this fold line, and as you work your way around, it's going to happen on each of these interior folds. So once you've done that, you can create your own star box without the pattern for any size you want. It can be, as tiny or as big as you want. Once you've got your pattern and you've transferred it onto, in this case, the red and white 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, you need to start, at least I start by cutting it out. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out all the way around. Just the outside perimeter of the star shape. Well, what will become the star shape. Now, as I'm approaching the flap on the box that is going to be the place that doesn't get glued down, it's going to be the open and closure of the box. I want you to see what's happening here. I left these lines so you could see. Notice that the pencil line that goes from the tip of this hexagon through this hexagon, if this line continues all the way down, it's going to give you this line. The problem with this is it's going to open and close. These lines, when it's folded closed, need to mirror these. So I just came in about a 1/4 inch from where the middle section, this is going to be the finger hole we're going to do with a little punch. And with a red line, I've shown you how you're going to go from the corner of this 1-inch flap to just about a 1/4 inch from the finger hole. And so I'm going to follow, I've marked it in red so you can see that's the one place where you deviate from the natural lines that are created when you just lay your ruler down and connect from tip to tip. So I'm cutting along the red. When I finish cutting, I'll show you the box and why it matters. How come it works better when you cut in. Now, I know I mentioned I find it easiest to just cut a straight line and then go back with just a circle punch and use the circle punch in order to get that little finger hole. So once you've punched out the finger hole, let me show you what I mean. The reason that I trimmed off these edges of this flap. If I bring up the one that we're going to make and I open this up, you'll see if I close it the other way, you can see that this needs to be trimmed down so that it will align with the tips of the star. And that's, if you look at this, you can see I've just left a little, like a 1/4 inch from the finger hole to where that line starts, just like the one that we did. So that is why we've made that slight correction to the pattern. Now, once you've cut all the way around the pattern, then it's just time to do all the folding. And the easiest way to do that is with a scoring tool. And a scoring tool will work best if you have a notepad or a tablet sitting underneath it so that you have a little something a little squishy for it, your creaser, to get a nice solid line. So I'm going to take my straight edge and I'm going to put a crease on all of my fold lines. Every one of these pencil lines or the lines on the pattern need to be scored. So I'm going to just lay this down and score and work my way around. All right, so I think that I have scored everywhere. It's not always obvious to me until I turn it over and look to see. And if there's, as I'm starting to assemble it, if there ends up being something that I have neglected to score, it's easy enough to turn it back over and score it. At this point, you want to fold on the score lines. I think it's easiest to do all the folds first before the actual adhesive goes in. So I'm going to fold on each one of these creases, and I'm folding them all the same direction. For these outside, these are going to be the flaps. Eventually, what I'm going to do is put adhesive there, and let me fold on that score line where the two hexagons are going to come together. I'm going to be putting adhesive on every flap except the one that's going to be where the items are going to open and slide in. But it's easiest to do all the folds first. So before you put adhesive on there, I am going to fold on everything right now, except I'm not folding on these, all of these longer folds from all the different tips of the pentagons are all mountain folds. if you're looking at the pattern side of the paper. So as I work my way around, I'm folding on all 5. Since there's 5 sides to a pentagon, there's going to be 5 places to fold to get, have I got all of them? Nope, I can see I'm missing this one here. So I have folded all 5 portions of the star. These smaller lines are going to be valley folds, but right now I'm going to just go around and do all of the mountain folds. So on the second pentagon, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to work around the tips of the star, which is connecting the tips of each section, each side of the pentagon. In order to get all of my folds, here's one I missed. So I'm going to look to see, do I have all the lines on the star? And I do. So those are all of the mountain folds. If I flip it over, the valley folds are going to be each of these little fold lines that we did at the end. So I'm going to, I think it's easiest for me to turn the paper over, and there's, so from this side there's still mountain folds. It's just that I'm doing them from the back side of the paper, just because I think it's easier to fold a mountain than it is a valley. And I'm only folding on the portion, not all the way into the star, but just the part that has been scored. So just give it a nice, strong finger crease. So when you've done all of the folding on all the score lines, now is when I go back and I add adhesive. So I'm going to put adhesive on, and remember, you're going to do more adhesive than I'm doing. I'm getting enough. I might as well do a second layer. It's not that much extra to go all the way to the edge. So I'm going to fold in these lines, and already that one is going to overlap and stick together, and then I'm going to bring over the other half, the other pentagon, and line it up and stick it down. And if for some reason, you know, you've cut something a little oddly and it's not perfect, you can turn it over, and if there's anything that sticks out, like see here, there's a little, just a little edge sticking out there. I don't know if it's even obvious, but there's just a little bit of white showing there that I like to get rid of. You can do that trimming there. Okay, so now it really is best to let that glue kind of set up, but of course I'm impatient by nature and I don't want you to wait either. So now you're just going to fold on the creases and pop it into its star shape. And the way that that happens is you start with each of those valley folds and you're going to just poke them in. And this is cardstock, not paper, so it's going to really, you can see it really poke together. Follow all the way along. So there's that first one, and I'm going to work my way around, do the same thing on each of the points of this star. Trying to do them each in an angle so you can see what I'm doing, which makes it look a little more awkward than it really is if I were just doing it myself. And then I'm going to fold on the ones that are going to be the closure, the open and closure of the box as well. So, how cool is this? You can go back with your fingers in any place where you want to really make an edge more crisp You can get in there because it's a box and it actually opens. It's easy enough to get in there with your hands if you think, well, that I didn't get that fold quite as strong as I wanted. So you can go back and add those later. At this point, what I did was I just took a small little tag, and with a white pen I wrote, because my dad is a star, I thought a star box is perfect. You can put who it's to. This one's already done, so let me show you who it's to and who it's from. Just with white pen and a little piece of paper that I've threaded through the hole in the tag, and then it's just going to get attached with whatever's your favorite adhesive. And you can see I like to put the long side in first because it's easiest to get your finger in there and grab that finger hole, and that way when you close that side it looks just like all the other sides. Is that just not perfect? I just love how this looks, and it sits up. I mean, it's so much fun. The true test is how well is it going to hold maybe a money clip, or in this case a watch. My dad doesn't have a cell phone. He'll be 95 in July, so he still uses a watch. So you can see it's going to fit perfectly and just be a great place to hold a really fun Father's Day gift. You know, making your own star box, it makes gift giving, no matter what holiday it's for, it makes it a very customized and a stellar affair.